This is what you have assistants for.
Oh yeah, thank you. Okay. Okay. Alors go. Hello everybody. We are talking English now. We are now with three wonderful women. I am also a wonderful woman, yes. Here we have Bailey Lemon, which is the former chair of the International Pirate Party and the new treasurer of the International Pirate Party, yeah. And yes, we can applaud her, yeah, please. And then we have Han Herperts. I don't. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. She is the new chair from 1 year ago now.
It's 7 months.
7 months. Like yes. This. Okay. The new chair of the German Pirate Party. We can also applaud her because she have so many courage. Thank you, Anne Herperts, to be there, and thank you, Belle, to be there. And I am Florie Marie. You know me because I have already talked. I am the chair of the International Pirate Party now after Belle. Yes. So thank you for me. Thank you. So today we are talking about being a woman in politics. And, you know, being a woman in politics, it's a little bit complicated, yes. Who want to talk first? It's not
I can just start by introducing myself. Okay. First, je suis très heureuse d'être ici. C'est une phrase en français. I'm very happy to be here, and thanks for all the amazing organizing stuff that you've done here, just to say this first. Maybe just for getting to know me a bit. I'm 25 years old, from Eastern German part of Dresden. I don't know if you know this part. Oh, sorry, I need to talk a bit closer. Yeah, I've been into local politics mostly before. I'm into something like a city council or city part council in Dresden, so mostly into local politics, but also like on the national level. Yeah, and next to this, I'm political scientist, normally at the university in Dresden, working there. So always into politics at work and also in the party life. Bailey.
Hello. So my name's Bailey Lamont. I am 32 years old and I am from London, Ontario, Canada. And yeah, I started out as an activist locally in my community with the Occupy movement and just lots of local activism movements over the years. I spent most of my entire adult life as an activist, and my background with that was with anarchism. I was an anarchist, and I thought I would never get involved in politics, never get involved in a political party ever. And then I discovered the Pirate Party, and that kind of changed things a little bit. And I was the president of the Pirate Party of Canada, which, not to be confused with party leader. In Canadian politics, president is a completely different position than party leader. But I was in that position, and I was also, I've been the vice chair and the chair of Pirate Parties International. So, yeah.
Yeah, I can introduce myself. My name is Florie. I am 35 years old, so yeah, I am the oldest woman of this panel, you know. And I used to be engaged in politics for a long time. I used to work first in politics. I used to be engaged in politics when I was younger, and then I start working in politics for the Greens, the French Greens. And then I discovered the French Pirate and the Pirate parties in 2010, but I joined only in 2017 because I was in the Green movement and I was I was working for the Greens, so it was complicated to be in the both movement. And I joined the French Pirate Party first, and then I became spokesperson, and then I became spokesperson again and again. And I joined the European board in 2019. and I was just member of the board, and then after I became the vice chair of the board, and I'm already the vice chair until tomorrow, and I became 2 months ago the chair of the Pirate Party International, and then here we are. So, Anne, please tell me, what was your first moment of when you discover that you were a woman? You know, you were in politics. Yes, in politics, but that the people where the people make you feel that you were a woman and not equal.
Yeah, maybe start about how I got to the Pirate Party movement, because it was an extreme nice thing to be, since I started being there, I guess 18 or 19 years old, and we had a city councillor, and when I first came to some meetings of the party, he was taking me completely seriously, and I never had this experience before that someone came to me and was like, tell me what you want to do, we can like write proposals, we can do stuff, just give me your input and we can go through. And this was a positive moment of experiencing, because it was like, oh crazy, it's not someone who's like, yeah, you're 18 years old, whoever, just try to do partying stuff for 10 years and maybe then we can talk about real politics and stuff. So this is how I started being in the pirate movement, because in Germany and other parties, it's not that way. It's like, yeah, you can go 10 years into the youth organization and just do like campaigning stuff. And maybe after X years, you can get to the real stuff. And there it went pretty fast that people were like, yeah, go into our local board and stuff, encouraging me, which was a complete, different experience compared to before. But it's not the only experience, as you can imagine. It's there are also negative ones. I had one saying in mind, which maybe frames it a bit more positive, what is negatively, is that I'd like to be more underestimated than being overrated, because it feels like it's a power that people don't trust that much in you, but in the end, you're better than you or than other people might thought. So I always feel to say, if you need that word, it's always better to be underestimated than overrated. So, and maybe Bailey, what are your experiences before?
Well, as far as joining Pirate Party, so I had become interested in the Pirate Party in it was around 2014, 2015. And I joined the party, but I didn't really get involved. I was just kind of observing and just, I was a member. I would occasionally sit in on the IRC meetings and stuff, but I wasn't actively involved. And I remember some people who were involved started to reach out to me and say, you should actually like run for a position. We'd love to actually see you like involved in the party. And I was really hesitant at first because I'm like, I don't know, I'm an anarchist, I don't know if I should do that. But I was encouraged to run for the position of president, which, like I said, is not party leader. It's more of an internal position in Canadian politics, but I was encouraged to run for that position and I ended up getting it. And at that point, I mean, I should note that the Pirate Party of Canada doesn't currently exist. And back in 2016 or so, when I did actually get, when I did get elected to that position of president, it was kind of, things were already kind of not great. Like we were fighting to keep the party registered and it wasn't going well. And there was only about 4 of us who were active, and I was the only woman who was active as well. And so that's kind of how I got into it, was people were encouraging me to do it. And actually one person did point out the fact that, like we'd really like to see more women involved and it would be really great to have a woman in position like president. And I felt really encouraged at that time. It felt really good to know that people actually wanted to work with me and wanted me to be involved. And so I went with that, and it was really encouraging at first, but that it started to go downhill. And Flori, you asked, like, what was the moment you realized, like, you're a woman in politics, and it's maybe not great. Was it was the Pirate Party's International General Assembly that took place in Berlin in 2016. And basically there was myself as a delegate, and then a colleague of mine who eventually became the party leader, who was a delegate. And everything, we show up remotely to participate. And right away, so the person who was my co-delegate had all these, issues with Pirate Parties International, and he decided to kind of take the reins of being the delegation, and basically straight up told me, you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to vote, you're like, you can be here, but I am the one in charge. Like, literally, this guy was saying, like, you're stay quiet, like, you're not here to, like, speak on our behalf or anything. And it was just, that was a really I'd say that was definitely one of the first moments where it was like, oh, okay, like, I thought I was, like, wanted here. I thought that I was being encouraged to be here, but now all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're not allowed to speak for us. I remember, like, messaging people in Berlin at the time, apologizing for the behavior of my colleague, who was just, acting out really horribly. And yeah, I mean, I was supposed to be a delegate to this event, and yet I was completely silenced and just straight up told, no, you're not allowed to speak. And definitely an eye opener. And that kind of thing does happen a lot to women in these circles. And it was certainly a moment where I realized, yeah, maybe, I don't know, does it have to do with me being a woman? I don't know. I mean, I can't say for a fact that it's just about that, but I think that kind of thing definitely happens more to women than it does men. I shouldn't say just women, but also, like, I'm sure, like, trans and non-binary folks, and people who are not men, basically. Yeah,
it's a story I already listened to. This story, yeah. Not yours, but another woman who lives the same thing. Another woman. My story, I don't know. I have several stories. I don't remember the first time I discovered that I was a woman in politics. I remember the last time I discovered I was a woman in politics. It was a few months ago when I was elected as a chair of the board of the PPI. The PPI is the International Party, and the one of the member of the board, I discussed with him, and I said to him, so what kind of mandate is it, and how I can be involved in this movement? How I will help, and how it is organized. And he said to me, so, well, the guy here, he will lead all the organization, he will lead all the the statutory things, and you, girl, you will be the spokeswoman. And I say, okay, guy, I think there is a misunderstood. My preferred thing in the world, is my preferred activity, my hobbies, is to read statutes and to understand statutes. So when this guy said to me, girl, I think the guy will apply the statutes and you will just spoke. I think it is a moment, one of the several moments. I understand that there is a long way again to walk for the women in politics. The first time it was too long ago. It was a deputy, a woman deputy. I don't know for you, but me as a woman, the most difficult part of my engagement was when women work on me, and when women said to me and remembers to me that this is like that, and that we will treat like we will treat you like that anyway, anytime, in any place, you will be treated like that, because these women that I admire, because they were engaged and they were really important and in the movement when I was young, so in the Green movement. These women were some rock stars for me, and they said to me, you will be treated like a woman, and women will always men will always treat you like that, and so you have to live with that and you have to support that anytime. And this is the most difficult thing I listened to when I was young, the most difficult thing, because it was a woman who told me that, and a woman who want to apply the same thing to me that she lives before me. I don't know. It's complicated because we don't have anyone to say to us what to say. So yeah, it's self-moderating. Etienne said to us that we have to talk about being a woman in politics, and being a woman in politics is not a way of life; it's just imposed to us. we live like that. So, and you want to?
Yeah, I'm just thinking of some experience having, even or maybe for other people's or non or men to think of. I was on a panel in I think it was the national elections in 2021, and there was a panel with all the different parties, mostly men. I guess I was the only woman on this panel. And there happened a thing that one from the Conservative Party, he just scratched in my speech. And I completely let him do this. Still hate myself for this, but I'm working on. But after this happened, at the end of this panel, another guy went to the moderator and was like, you have to give that woman now time to speak, because the other person just interrupted her, and now give her 5 minutes, because yeah, so he was pushing the moderator to give the word again to me, because I couldn't stand up for myself somehow, but he did. And this was a somehow eye-opening lesson for me, and maybe hopefully for others too, that sometimes, or yeah, not all time, it has to be the person itself that is being overruled by others to fight for this. So it's an action for everyone to do, who's in the room or who is close by, to be an ally in this situation, and yeah, find the words or find the place for the ones who got overridden to do their speeches or to have their time. I just wanted to share that experience, because really, take it to your heart, everyone who's here or who's listening. It's sometimes hard for ourselves to stand up, and it doesn't work all the time, but there's a possibility for others to just see the situation and yeah, give it back to me. And I'm still very thankful for this guy on this panel who was just like, no, she needs to talk again, guys. So yeah, do you have some of these stories, experiences, or stuff that come into your mind where others did the job while you maybe couldn't? And even though it's not a problem that we cannot stand up for ourselves all the time because it is exhausting, and also others need to do it. Do you have some experiences like that? I don't know if something comes into your mind, or maybe some other experiences. Do what you.
You have one?
I have lots. I have. Here's the thing. I'm going to show you guys something. So, I made notes for the panel today because I wasn't sure if we were going to do it like this style, or if we were going to each of us like talk one at a time, or like how that was going to work. So I made a bunch of notes about just like all of these different experiences that I've had over the years.
I made a thread.
What's that?
I made a thread for that.
Yeah. It's kind of same idea. So I have lots and lots and lots of experiences that I can talk about that are really honestly quite dark and depressing, and Yeah. So it's kind of one of those questions of like, well, where do I even start? I mean, personally, you know, and I don't know if this has to do with me being a woman so much, or if it's just me and my personality. I'm not sure. I mean, I think as women, we're definitely more conditioned as we're growing up to, you know, put up with a lot more than we probably should. We're certainly, you know, taught to put up with a lot more than men do, right? Men are kind of encouraged, and I mean, this is generally, right? There's always exceptions to this, but you know, generally speaking, I think men are encouraged to, you know, speak up for yourself, you know, be strong, defend yourself in situations where you need to defend yourself, whereas women are, you know, we're kind of, you know, it's a little different. I find, at least my experience was different. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so I guess I always kind of struggled with standing up for myself in these situations, and there's been lots and lots of just different incidents over the years where I really should have stood up for myself and I didn't. I mean, I mentioned the Berlin General Assembly experience earlier. That was one where like I didn't really stand up for myself. I was apologizing to people for what was happening, even though the thing that was happening to me, right? But there I was apologizing for it. And I mean, other people actually did stand up for me in that situation, because people on the ground in Berlin at the time kind of realized what was happening, and you know, people, they actually like stood up in front of the room and you know, made it known that they like supported me and stuff. So that was a big deal, and you know, there's definitely with all of these like bad experiences that I've had, like I have had support through them, you know, like with friends in the movement, people who have like made it known to me that they support me. At the same time, there's been times where I really wish somebody would have stood up for me as well. Like there's been lots of incidences where, for example, I've been yelled at in meetings, in general assemblies, while I'm running the meeting or the general assembly, and somebody, you know, a person who is actually supposed to be having my back in that situation is yelling at me because I'm not running the meeting fast enough. On one occasion, I was accused of starving people because I didn't realize it was the lunch break, you know, and so it was like, why are you starving us? And you know, and when you're the one that's running the meeting and you got people yelling at you and making your job harder, that's a really horrible experience. There's been so many times where I'm in that position where I'm running a meeting or a general assembly or something, and I'm holding back tears, or I'm like straight up crying in the meeting because I'm being screamed at, and like I don't, you know, I didn't even do anything wrong intentionally, you know. So there's been like lots of stuff like that. But that said, like I have had like support through those experiences too, where people would reach out and be like, I'm sorry that happened to you. You know, people making it known that they know it's not okay. But yeah, in those moments, I wish somebody had spoken up and said, stop doing that. But you know, I was kind of on my own at the time.
The most difficult things is when some people in the meeting you are sharing is insulting you, or even if you're not sharing it, is insulting you, and then you are there, you don't know what to do, and you expect that someone else will react, because if you react, you will overreact, or people will say that you overreact because you are a woman. So women overreact.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. So it's complicated to be just normal when someone insults you, and just let it go, and just let it be, and nobody will just answer, and nobody will do something. The last time it happened, it was on the 15th of March. I was insulted. I was threatened as a bitch in a meeting. Yeah. beach. Yes, it's not normal. It's not normal. And the meeting ended, and the guy was banned of the meeting. He was kick off the meeting, and then I remind myself all the time I support that, because the day after I was like, okay, it's not a problem. And the guys who were at the meeting said, Floris, it was a problem. Someone insults you. You can't let it go. You can't let it done. And I said, oh, I don't know. It happens a lot of time since I was 13. When I was 13, people just held me in the street and said, "Oh, beautiful girl." I was 13. Guys, they were adults. Yeah. So since I was 13, I just live that. I don't just live like a woman. I just live like a piece of meat, like a woman that have been harassed in the streets. Normally, it's normally for me. If it's normally, it's not normally, but it's normally for me. So when I've been insulted last month, I didn't even care about that. And then the guys were here. They said to me, oh, it's not normal. You can't be insulted. And then I remind myself, and then I made a thread. I made a thread of on Twitter. I made a long thread with 200 tweets. Yes. Of 200. It's not a joke. It's 200 tweets. Yes. And I tell all the stories I've been victim or just witness about all the stories I see or I lived on harassment or moral harassment, sexism harassment, and 200 tweets in four days, and then I was banned of Twitter. And yes, and I come back and I continue the thread because I have a lot of things to say again. But stories reminds me. So I already said that on Twitter, so I don't want to say that again. I don't want to say it again and again, but it's true that being a woman in politics, it's complicated, and it's everyday fighting. It's every day you have to justify the fact that you are here and you are competent and you can do things, and you just can even lead the world if you want, or just lead a country if you want, and just not leading. Even though it is possible to just not lead or construct something different, or being able to just lead a meeting or just assist to a meeting or speak at a meeting, and without being cut, without being without being insulted, without being mistreating. And I don't know. It's normal to be like we should be treated like every males. It's not the case. It's I don't know. You want to speak again? Yeah, you have also things to say.
Yeah, thank you really much for all the stuff you've been sharing, because I know it's not that easy to talk openly about this, but it's important that you do. So first, thank you for this. I often think of that men, also generally speaking, don't know these kinds of comments that you get about your body, about your behavior, being too emotionally or not being emotionally enough, or whatever. You can find always the opposites directions. And some days ago, as I said, we are mostly into local politics. We put in a draft about, like there are rules for bathing clothes in swimming halls and stuff, where it's been said that women shall wear something on the top. They shall wear tops, and we were like, yeah, but men are not. They should not, or they're allowed to not wear anything at all here. And we're like, that's sexualizing women's breasts in this way. And we tried to change it. So we were like handing in a draft from many pirate women, saying that, hey, let's change these rules so everyone can go topless into swimming pools, or like these official swimming pools and stuff. And guess what the comments were? Many people are thinking that it starts harassment when women are not wearing tops or starts being sexualized and whatever. And I really felt like it's the exact same discussion with after rape or something like this. What has she worn when it happened? Is there something she might wanted it, or is there something about this? And in this whole discussion about this going topless swimming, I always felt like, are we still in the fucking 70s or something? Because it's 2023. And people should know that it's not the top or not top that starts harassment or assaulting or stuff. And it's crazy because a lot of people were also like scared. Then guys starts to do that, whatever. And I can understand it, but it's that what we need to work on. And in the end, it's like not a duty. You can wear tops still. So, but for me, it showed that we have still a long way to go to stop sexualizing these stuff, like the women body. Yeah, and we will see if we can pass this draft. I don't know how the conservatives will be, especially the same people who are like wearing a hijab is suppressing women. You were like, okay, but top for swimming we need to do. Yeah, so these are attempts where you're on and think like, okay, it's still the 70s or something like this. If people are not actually ready to think of other ways. Yeah, this just came to my mind because it was an important thing in local politics. And also, fun fact, in Berlin, it's now also allowed because a court just said it's just a different treating from the by gender. So they actually put it to court and they were saying like everyone should be treated the same way. And in other councils or cities or whatever, there were no such court decidings. So let's see. And if the conservatives won't go with it, then we just might run to courts. Yeah. Do you have other like policies that you put in or stuff where you got reactions on like this, where you were like, aren't we in the 21st century?
Yeah.
I have loads on my list. Wait for it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this is kind of going off of what you were saying about just like the sexualization aspect of this that happens to women in politics. So I've experienced sexual harassment while in politics. I was sexually assaulted by my party leader, actually, in 2017 when I traveled to Ottawa, Ontario, for an Elections Canada meeting. And when I confronted him about it, he started publicly attacking me on social media, claiming that I don't do anything for the party. Even though I was trying very hard to move the party forward while being blocked by him, basically. And I've been attacked online just horribly and in very like horribly sexist ways. Basically, things like being called a slut, being called a whore, being called the whore of PPI. That was there's one person in particular who that was my nickname for that person for a long time, or their nickname for me, I should say, was I was the whore of PPI. And these were things that were posted in public chat rooms, including the European Pirate Party Mattermost chat. These things were being posted all in there. Claims that I was only I only got into positions that I did because of who I've had sex with. A lot, yeah. Just, do you see what I mean about like the just to expand on the whole like issue of like sexualization, and when you think about the way that women typically get attacked, women who are political and who are outspoken, men don't get those kinds of attacks. Men don't get called whores and sluts and whores of whatever, right? That's just women who get that. And yeah, like I I got a
Me
lot
too.
of it. Yeah. Yeah.
I was also like you.
Yeah.
You know, I am here because I have obviously have sex with men. It's obvious. I can't be there because of my competence or no, it's because I have sex with men. I was in my precedent job, in my first job, because I have sex with men. And I was in the second job because I have sex with men. And I am also nominated as a PPI chair because I have sex with men. It's because I have been paid by men, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
It's not the same. But yes, me too. Yeah. It's a real problem. Not war, but bitch.
This whole competence stuff is really hard if you have, and I guess we mostly have it, or many of them, is these imposter syndrome where you always think like, do I deserve what I'm doing? Do I deserve the position? Do I deserve the audience or whatever? And then there are guys who have like not zero competence, but lower competence in like objective ways. And they are sitting there like, there could be another place where they are. It's completely clear that they need to go there. And this is part of the problem, sometimes of the own problem. But this competence thing is also a big thing when you're like a woman and a young person. But when I was, it was my speech before I got voted as the party leader in Germany. I said a sentence, age is not a core competence. Is that someone else said to me before, and I think it was very inspiring, this saying. So it doesn't say anything about the competence. And then later on, fun fact, on Twitter there was written, yeah, but tits are also not a competence. And I was like, by a woman. So one thing I had in mind is always this gender and competence discussion, because of course you do not want to be somewhere because of your gender, but the reality is that now also gender is above competence, since men have advantages in these things. So gender already plays a role in all these decisions, and it would be better if men, generally speaking again, would be asking themselves, did I get the job because of my competences, or maybe because I not able to have kids or something? Wouldn't be a world better if people would like to know they are there because of competences and not because of their gender? And yeah, that's a thing I had in mind in these competence things. But after a while, even learning for myself is, first you see that others are also just doing their stuff in a way. And after a while, it is more easily, so many to people who are listening, after a while, and when you're getting shit done, you somehow learn, okay, it's not just coincidence, or it's not just a good wave of events or something like that. Maybe I can do stuff. It takes a long time and it always goes back and forth with that. But at some point, you're like, well, I have the audacity to be here and stuff. So it takes time. It's a hard way. So as an encouraging thing, we deserve to be here, just to say the least.
I agree.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, me also. But,
Thank you, Flora.
we wanted to ask maybe if some of you here, girls, obviously, I will not ask to men, have something to share with us. No? No? You won't? Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot for sharing those stories. It's actually very important for us to hear it and to have maybe the first-hand experience that we don't have in our in our life. But I wanted to ask. I wanted to share. I wanted to ask you, what do you think? If one thing could happen tomorrow, what would it be that actually do you think would improve your situation? What would it be?
I'm going to let one of you answer first.
I mean, it might not be one special thing away. Then it would be super easy to change stuff if it would just be one little thing. I think what it needs on two sides, one on the society side, is like standing up for other people who are not able to stand up in that situation for various reasons, which I said before, that other people even acknowledge these situations or even see it with those eyes, because there are often situations where something like that happens and people don't react properly to that, or people are just silent or being like, okay, if I just ignore it then it might go away or something. Or so people in general need to open their eyes quite more for these situations. And for the person ourselves, I guess a thing to do is not to overthink the own worth or the own position or the stuff you're in. It is very important to just acknowledge you have the right to be in the situation, because other guys are not doing a single thought about this stuff that we're actually doing. And one last thing, which I always like to say, is that feminism are encouraging women to go somewhere into positions or working at stuff and so on. It's not a job for women, and this is something that people need to understand. It's feminism and or like being treated equally and stuff is not just a job women need to do to achieve this society that we want. It's a job for everyone to do. So this is what I always like to say. It's not my job to find for my own equality. It's a job for everyone.
If I can add something also, we have the discussion yesterday or not the day before. We go in Paris and we visit Paris, and we have a strong travel in Paris. We walk for 17 kilometers, and then we met some men in Paris, and sometimes men said, "Oh, you're a beautiful woman," it's street harassment as usual. One thing you have to know is that what you see once, we see it daily. It's you seems to think that yes, it's happened, it happens once beside you. You see that one time. Okay. We see that daily. It's every fucking day we see that. So we have to support that every day. You have to support that once. We listened to that guy this time. He said that, oh, you're wonderful. Yes, it's happened once time beside you, in front of you. It's happened in front of you because you were with these girls, beautiful girls, and you beautiful girl, and your hand in her hand, and you see the beautiful girl you have with you. She's beautiful. So the guy says that she is beautiful, but this girl, she listened to that every day, in every day in her life. She's listening something like that. It's just not possible to bear that in the entire life. Not the entire life, because when you are old, it happens. That's less time. But yes, it happens. So it happens every time. It's not just, I don't know, it's not possible to imagine what we are living when we are women in the street or in politics or in work, or it's not possible to imagine that. So I don't know what to improve. just being instead of us, and just asking yourself, if I were a woman, do I like to hear that every day, and not just once, every day? Do I bear to hear that?
So, as far as what to improve, so one thing that I think about a lot when it comes to just politics in general and being a woman in politics, it's kind of, we're always told that politics is so cutthroat, right? It's harsh. You're gonna get attacked. You have to be tough. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how much you two have been told that by people, but that's something that I have heard a lot of. over the years of, toughen up. You got to be able to take criticism. You have to be able to handle getting attacked, because that's just what you're in for if you're going to be in politics, especially if you're going to be in some kind of position of leadership, right? And there's not a lot of softness and gentleness in politics, right? There's not a lot of, you don't see a lot of that. It's very, like I said, it's very cutthroat. So one thing, I feel very strongly about the idea that we should be soft on people, soft on each other, but tough on the issues, tough on the politics, tough on the things that we're fighting for, but let's be soft and gentle with each other, like human to human, whether it's women, men, non-binary folks, like anybody, right? Tough on the issues, soft on each other. And I think that in political spheres, I think that it would be a lot easier for everybody, not just women. But I think it would be a lot more welcoming and a lot easier if we started to kind of shift our mindset around what politics is supposed to look like. Like, why does it have to be unkind? You know what I mean? Why does it have to be cutthroat? Why can't we do this work as human beings and give each other that softness and that gentleness that I think we all deserve when we're working together? And and I mean, also, it's like we're all, especially when you're part of the same like political circles, right? It's like we're all kind of, more or less on the same team. So like, let's be good to each other. Let's be kind to each other. And I think that that's something that, it just gets missed. And I wish that we could embrace that more in politics in general and our movements. And so that's something that comes to mind in terms of like how, like what I think we can improve on is, let's be kinder, let's be softer with each other, let's be gentler with each other, and just embrace each other rather than being tough and no, it's not saying like don't be tough. Obviously, we got some pretty big enemies, right? I mean, we've got the copyright industry, we've got the military industrial complex. Like, there's so many big enemies out there, and absolutely we have to be strong while we're fighting the good fight, right? But in terms of how we deal with each other and how we think about being in politics and what your experience in politics should be, does that make sense? I hope. Thank you.
Oh yes, someone told me that democracy is conflict. Democracy is conflict, but democracy is not war. It's just conflict.
I don't know. In Berlin, we in our 2000 like this. Yes. Yeah, thanks. No, in Berlin, we had our 2012 election was very successful. And we had one like issue. We had posters who where we promised to introduce post-gender politics. Post-gender, would that be of any help? Because then we wouldn't have many like gender problems anymore. I think we should really think about it. And I personally was really very much for that when I heard some people that they all wished us to like introduce post-gender politics. You don't have to say you're male or female in your passports. And you have to go to a psychiater when you want to tell them I'm diverse. And so there's just in your passport nothing. When you apply for a job, there is nothing. There is no gender pay gap, nothing of these kinds. And I would be really very much for that. And we should think about if that could help in any way. Okay.
Actually, we put it in the French Pirate Party program. We have proposition in the French Pirate Party program. It was adopted 2 years ago, I think. Or I don't remember, because with the pandemic, the years pass. we don't remember what year we are. So we adopt a proposition that says that we don't want to have the gender on the civil papers, on passport, on ID card. So we, as French Pirates, we already put this proposition, and also we work in the French Pirate Party and also in the international way, but more in the French Pirate Party. We work with nicknames, so people don't have to say their gender. They don't have to say, yes, I'm a girl, or yes, I'm a boy, or yes, I'm from each country, or yes, I'm this color of skin, So it's I think it's way, not the better way, not the way, but it's a way to make politics much healthier, much better for every people.
Yeah, I'm also completely in for this stuff that we had also from Germany, that kicking it out of passport because the state doesn't need to know your gender. This was one of our slogans. But one little thing about this post-gender, it should be the goal. But what is a common mistake sometimes is that reality now is not post-gender. It still makes a difference in reality. And so just to frame it in the right way, post-gender is the goal, that it doesn't make a difference which gender you have or even whatever. But it still is an issue now. So we need to work on this stuff. And as I said before, maybe male persons wants to know they got the job because they have the competences for that, not because of their gender. So it should not make us blind for reality, this post-gender, but it is obviously the goal that it should not play a role in whatever occasion. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I would like to echo that exactly. Like I also like absolutely support this. But I think just the current situation now with the world that we're living in, I think it's a little tricky because like unfortunately sexism is still a thing. Unfortunately, gender discrimination is still a thing regardless. And I think until we can actually live in that post gender world, until things catch up socially, I think it can get tricky. But I also am in favor of this. I also think that is the goal. Yeah.
Just a small remark just to that. What brought me to it was like that people told me they were so disappointed that we had posted this and said promised to introduce it, and that we had not worked with it. Actually, we did nothing in to bring this into reality. And I heard that many people voted for us because we had these post-gender posters. And that brought me really to think of it. And it would not mean that we don't look after all the issues with women and everything. It would just give more liberty to everybody. That's all. I just wanted to put it in. That's it.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and it's the point about passports and state doesn't need to know your gender. Absolutely the case. Yeah, I think we just need to be very specific about what that means, because I think with the term post gender, I think it can you can interpret that in different ways, I think, and we just need to be careful, because it's almost like and it's not, I'm not saying that it's the same thing, but I know that it has been kind of interpreted in the same way, where almost when people say they're colorblind, right? And it's well, unfortunately, racism still exists. Systemic racism still exists. So if you're saying you're colorblind, you're not really, you're kind of part of the problem in a lot of ways, right? Because you're not recognizing oppression that is still very real. So I mean, that's something I've heard with discussions about this topic as well, of we need to be careful not to not to kind of replicate that mindset. But yeah, I mean, I think one step at a time. And I think in terms of specific things like, we don't need to specify our gender on everything, and just taking these steps gradually. Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, yeah, the goal, yeah, it shouldn't matter. We should get to that point where it doesn't matter and everybody's equal, and we'll get there someday, hopefully.
We will.
We would like, yes. We have to go through some problem here to be in this idealistic system, but we have some problem in our actual system. It's a toxic system.
Just maybe for having some last words or something, are there any other questions, impulses or something? You prepare so well.
Yes, hi everyone. We actually work for the parliament for the Pirates, and we often discuss voting about quotas. And so far, the party is against quotas, as you might know. But what is your personal opinion about this? Do you think quotas would actually help somehow to make politics less cutthroat, as you said, or do you think this is not?
I used to think that the quotas. I used to think that the quotas was a good solution for having some political equality. In some toxic, in some toxic parties, it is, yes. The fact is that I don't know how. I don't know if it is the function of our party in France, but now we have 9 spokespersons in the French Pirate Party. We have 4 women and 5 men, and we don't have any lists. It's not a list, We ask to people if they want to be spokesperson. People can just candidate and give their name and give their candidature and say, yes, I want to be a spokesperson. And it is not a list that we have to present with men, women, And so we succeed in this, in the French Pirate movement. But maybe in the more hierarchical organization, I don't know. Maybe it's because of the organization we have now that is not hierarchical organization. Maybe it's possible that it is linked to this situation. But now we succeed. We try to succeed. We have many men in the movement, but we have many men in politics. It's not the pirate movement, even if it is informatic movement, internet movement. We have many men in politics. It's not the problem. The problem is the involvement of women, because they can't involve because they don't have enough time, or they have the imposter syndrome, and systematically the women just gives more time to their family or their self or their career, and not time to the political engagement. So it's difficult for women to engage, to involve in political parties. It's a fact. Then we can let place to women with this system of lists. And I used to work for parties that used this system of list of paritaire, like women, men, it's like they said that zip, fermeture éclair. It's you have a list with a male, a woman, a man, a woman, a man, a woman, a man, a woman. It's we said parité en France. I don't remember the word in English. I'm sorry, my English is a little bit rusty, you see. So this system used to work maybe when you have to elect people for leading a movement. We don't have to elect people for leading a movement. Our movement is not led by people, is led by everyone in the pirate movement. So if we have to have a quota, it will be for all the members. And we don't ask the sex of the gender of the members in France. So we don't know. We don't even know if we have the quotas in the members. So we don't have leaders, but we have spokesperson, and the spokesperson are as men and as women. So it's okay for us. I don't know if you have. Yes, you have.
To say the least, I have mixed feelings about that issue on the personal level. Maybe also a reason I'm the only woman in my German board with 7 other guys. A quota would have helped me not to be alone. But I have mixed feelings. On the one hand, like the advantages that I see also as a social scientist is behind that thinking, for example, 40% of women, behind there is the thinking that knowledge, competence, whatever is equally in the whole community or whole level. So this is what I completely understand about quotas, that behind that is the fact it's equally not disturbed. I'm searching for the right word. Like everyone has the same chance. What we should more think about, and this is also a thing I'm working on in my party on and on, is to ask yourself why there are no candidates, female candidates. And I believe many persons in my party are like, I would have voted for women if there would have been a candidate or a female candidate. I believe that. I strongly believe them, but there are none. I was the only candidate for all of them. So what we need to work on more is like asking ourselves, asking into our parties, why are there not many female candidates, and work on these stuff, which starts from arranging family stuff with plenary times and stuff, all of that. But also that what Bailey talked about is this more or less toxic culture where you just think twice if you want to attend that meeting or not beforehand, because you just don't want to get accused of yeah. So there are many things to think about. Also for me, just to say my privileges, I don't have like kids at this moment, so it's quite more easily for me to arrange stuff about this. But I think quotas can make a difference in regarding or to see the fact behind that all these knowledge and competence is like the same from or the same amount in women and men percentages. But yeah, in the end, it also doesn't have to force people to go into positions and stuff. So I have mixed feelings. I can see that it works somehow, but also another thing, there are also like these lists of talking where you have like, if there are just men talking all the time, then it stops somewhere. And if a woman wants to say something, then she gets first of the list and stuff. I really like this thinking since I'm the only one in this German board. So it would guarantee me 50% of the speeches, no joke. But besides of that, I had meetings where we had this list outside Pirate Party, completely activist stuff outside. And there was just like 2 women in a also like panel like this, and then they were more or less forced to say something because women now need to say something because we need to hear them and stuff. So it should always be adjusted to how the women feel in this position or the not male person feel in this position. Yeah, I can just say mixed feelings. I can see that things could help, but on the other hand, it should not force anything in that way.
I just want to remark something. You don't have any children. You don't have any children. I don't have any children. Just to say.
Yeah, I just want to echo that again. I also have mixed feelings about it because, like, in theory, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, we should guarantee gender equality. Everywhere, including on like these lists and stuff. Absolutely. But there's also the issue of like, if you don't have a lot of women who can possibly go on these lists, then what do you do then? And you also have to ask yourself, again, where are the women? Why are they not participating? Why do we not have as many female candidates as male? So I think, yeah, like it does go back to the culture, and just you have to kind of figure out what it is that's if you don't have a lot of women around, why is that? And but yeah, and we have to fix the culture to encourage women, and on that note, not just women, but like non-binary people as well, right? Like if we're going to have male and female equality, then that should also include non-binary folks, and North America, two-spirited folks, right? People of all gender identities. And I think that we really need to foster that culture of gender equality, not just when it comes to the gender binary, but including folks who don't identify as male or female. And we need to have representation on those fronts as well. And it can be hard to do that. And if you don't have that perfect equality, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're horrible and you're doing everything wrong and whatever, but you do have to ask the question of like, how can we have more gender equality in our circles, in our parties, or whatever we're doing. So yeah, I mean, as far as like these quotas and stuff, yeah, like in theory, it's really great. I don't know if it always works out the way that it should, just because you don't always have all the people that you need to ensure that equality is there. I love the idea of it, and I think that if we lived in a world where we did have lots and lots of people from all gender identities, and there wasn't any issues on that front, there wasn't a struggle to find people, there wasn't a struggle for people to want to put themselves forward into these positions and stuff, then yeah, I think it could be a really great thing. But yeah, it can get tricky as well.
So all the people around show me their watch because it's time to I don't have any watch. Okay, so if there is another question, a last question maybe, yes?
So you shared harassment experiences coming from Parti Pirate members. What are the current actions that can be taken when this kind of event happen, either from your respective national parties or from the PPI level?
Alors, for my part, in the Pirate Party, French Pirate Party, there were a long time ago one guy who harassed people in the movement. He was kicked off because it's the only way you can do things. And we encourage people because it's not only women, it's a lot of people. We encourage people that are victims of harassment to go to justice, even it is complicated, even justice is not really always fair, because sometimes justice doesn't want to take your complaint. So it's complicated to have a fair treatment about that. But yes, in the French Pirate movement, we decide to just not deal with it. So if we heard about that, we have a place, legal, we call it the Tribunal des Pirates, the Pirate Tribunal, I think. Yeah. And we judge the people, and we don't have any problem since 2018. So it's okay today. But we used to have some problem and they were kicked off. In the international level, I don't know. I will let Bailey, but Bailey, I don't know if you have succeeded in leading of this situation. No. So we will put, I think we will reflect on it, and it will be good to have some ideas for reflecting on it, because I want to work on this part really. And now we have some women in this board, more women in this board, because we don't have any women. Also you said that you were the only woman in the board of German Pirate Party. I was the only woman on the board of European Pirate Party also. So now we have some female candidates in this board, but the last year it was just I was the only woman, and I couldn't even talk, because even each time I talk, there was a man I will not say his name, but it is systematically the same man that just impeached me to talk systematically. So I don't even talk in this board because I can't. I wasn't, I wasn't authorized to talk. So I think you have some things to say about that.
Yeah, some things. It is still a thing in the German Pirate Party. I wish it wasn't. But what we have is, one thing is somehow like awareness structures, like people you can talk to if you have problems. We have this mostly on the local level, where these people aren't even party members. So they are completely out of the situation, out of knowing many people and stuff, who you can go to confidentially and tell what happened to you and what to do after this. Because it's even a thing to like break power stuff, that you can go confidentially to persons, and will be kept a secret and stuff. So this is one thing. And the other thing is, still, for all the stuff that is not hard enough to go on courts or whatever, it still needs the other persons. I will say it 1,000 times more, but it's not our jobs ourselves to defend us the whole time. It's a job for everyone. So it needs the awareness from all the people being there. Also, like, somehow, it sounds hard, but socially exclude more or less these actions that happen, saying that it's not okay to do this or that, or even recognize it, which would be the first step, and the second step would be an intervention or something like this. Because, fun fact, if a man says that's not good what you did, it works more than when I said it wasn't nice what they said. So use these ways as other persons around for this non-juridical stuff, like, because you cannot go to courts for every little thing that happens without wanting to penalize it.
Yeah. It's hard because, yeah, there's so much that can be done, right? Like there's so many things that we could talk about, as far as like how to handle these situations, how to sorry, I lost my train of thought again. I mean, I agree with these two 100%, but yeah, I think what it actually comes down to is, I mean, it's the culture thing, right? I mean, we need to have a culture where people just don't do the things that need to get dealt with. Like, how about you just don't mistreat people? How about you just don't be a dick? Like, it really should be that simple, right? And just having a culture where that's not allowed, and that kind of stuff doesn't fly. Now, when it happens, how do you deal with it? Yeah, like we absolutely need something like, whether it's code of conduct council or whatever it is, where people can go and talk about these things. And if something happens to you, being able to go and have these confidential conversations about what happened to you, and to be able to have that support. And I think that we really need to focus on the victims in these situations, or the survivors in these situations, and what do they want to see happen. You know what I mean? Like how, like what, like that's yeah, I'm gonna stop there.
Okay, I just saw we need to stop somehow,
Yes.
but we finally have the place to talk about. So it's, no, I just want to say one last thing as an encouraging thing in the end. What I learned in the past weeks and months is that sometimes you really just need to take that place, because people will not always roll out these red carpet to go on. I was on an event and they forgot to introduce me, and there were all these important persons, and I should have been one next person on this event. And then my assistant pushed me in this direction, going like, you will go next to them, you will go next to them. I did in the end. And then there was another woman on the panel. She was one of these important persons. I talked to her later and I was like, sorry if it was weird that I just came next to them. They forgot to introduce me and I was just awkwardly trying to get in this situation. And she was like, you have to do it that way. You have to go there in the middle, stand in the middle of this whole thing. This is what you have to do. And she really encouraged me with that. So stop thinking that you don't deserve to be in that place or don't deserve this middle place in a thing. Just go there and sit in the middle and do like you never did anything else. This as last encouraging words. And really thanks to you both for your inspiring thoughts and words. It was really, really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne. And thank you, Bailey. And thank you all for listening to us. And thank you. Thank you, me. And thank you for inspiring us also. You both. You're queens. And then thank you all for listening to us. We have to leave the scene because we have to leave because there is someone after us. So vote pirates and abolish the patriarchy. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much. So we will have like a 5-minute break in order to set the next conference that will be in French, and we will rolling after that. Thank you.